Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Figma for EDU monthly workshop. My name is Miggy, and today we're going to be talking about Figma Slides for EDU. I'm going to kind of go back and forth between the actual presentation and the slides interface itself. So you'll notice that my current interface is in dark mode. If you prefer light mode, you can toggle the different mode. I'm going to show you how to do that. If you come down here, let's make my interface just a little bit bigger. For those of you in the back, you can see this better. I'm going to click down here. You'll see that this is the actions button. The actions button, the shortcut for that for me is going to be Command K. If you're on Windows, it's going to be Control K. Let's click on that. And I'm going to type in use light mode. So here we can choose whether or not we want to use light mode or dark mode. I am a dark mode person when it comes to working on my slides. So let us know in the chat too. What do you prefer? Are you a dark mode or are you a light mode person? So that actions button, that actions panel is going to be really nifty, really handy when you're working through slides. It's going to give you the ability to unlock a lot of features. So let's head on down here. And we're going to talk about, just getting started with slides. What are the things that you want to do when you're just getting started? So copy and paste from Figma. So if you already have slides in, like, let's say a Figma presentation. Let's see, I think I have a Figma presentation that's here. Oh, no, this is another slides presentation. Let's go. Let's see, I had one on deck. I had one handy, but basically here, let's actually create it from here. If I have a slide that is 1920 by 1080 in Figma, so let's say I'm already working in Figma, let's say that this is red and this is like hello world. So let's say I have like a slide that's already in Figma and it's all designed out. And, like, let's say I have assets, let's say Figma logo. So right now I'm currently in Figma. And so, like, let's say I made this amazing slide, and this is my second slide, slide 2. So we know that a lot of you that have already been using Figma, what you've been doing for many of your presentations is actually creating your slide decks in Figma. Any slide that you have created in Figma, if it's 1920 by 1080, if you copy that and we head on over to slides and just hit paste, it's going to recognize that that frame is a slide and it's just going to paste right in. So one of the easiest things that you can do to begin to transition over to Figma slides is to copy and paste those. And once again, if you're thinking, well, what might be the benefit? It's going to give you the opportunity to have presenter notes. It's going to give you a proper presentation view. It's going to give you more of those slides affordances that you might want when you're kind of building a deck. So if you already have some slides to begin with, copy and paste that from Figma. The next thing that we want to cover is that when you are using slides, there are two different modes. There is a slides mode that's intended for those who are maybe new, those who are just using an existing template. It's going to be much more of a pared down interface. You're going to have enough options to make a slide, to edit a slide, and do what you need done. But then for those who are going to be more advanced, who want more control over what they're doing in their slides, there's going to be this design mode. So when we head on over to slides, you'll see that when I'm seeing the red interface right here, I can see that I'm currently in the slides mode. And when I am in slides mode and I select text, you can see that my options are fewer. There's fewer options available to me. Now, if I want to go into design mode, I can press Shift D. And when I press Shift D, I will begin to see more custom controls. So I'll be able to see like alignment, be able to see XY positioning. I'll see layout. I'll even have the option to include variables if you're using an external library. So you're going to get the deep dive of Figma features when you're in design mode. So you can swap between them by pressing Shift D. So I can go back and forth between those modes, pressing Shift D. All right. So design mode is going to be full features. We're going to talk about the things that you can do in design mode and in slides mode. That's going to be for a more pared down experience. Some of you are going to find your ways back and forth. And one thing that I do want to highlight is that design mode is an excellent intro to Figma. So if you're an educator and you're teaching Figma for the first time, you have students in your course that might be intimidated by Figma proper, you'll notice that in design mode, the tools that you have available here are going to be like the pen tool. So if I wanted to create things like an arrow, I can use vector networks the same way that I would in Figma. I can increase that. So you can make vector objects. You can also use shapes that you will typically find in Figma. So here, if I choose the star tool, I can make those same adjustments as necessary. I can make those edits, and I can begin to design in here just as I would if I were using Figma previous. Now, when you're in slides mode, the difference is if you're familiar with FigJam, you're going to have more FigJam like objects. So when I click on rectangle, when I click on this rectangle, you can see I can type things in. This is just like a FigJam box. It's going to be great for making little diagrams. And you can also add tables. So you're going to see that each mode is going to have its own respective features. So you'll notice that when you are in the slides mode, you are going to see features that are very FigJam like. You can add the interactions, you can add tables, you can add shapes, you can add images. And when you're in design mode, you're going to see what you typically see in Figma design, such as frames, shapes, the pen tool, and the extended object. So once again, if you're working with a class, one good way to introduce Figma would be to have everybody work on their own individual slide, and they can work in that design mode. All right, brilliant. So talking about modes, another way to think about when working in slides is that you'll notice right now I'm in an individual slide view, right? So I'm just in this slide view. Now, there are going to be times when you want to organize your entire deck. You want to see it from like an eagle eye view. You want to make adjustments. So if I press Shift period, I can go into grid view, and this grid view is going to give me an overview of my entire slide deck. And here I can make changes. So if I wanted to move the fourth slide over, I can move that there. I can bring this slide down here, and I can adjust my slides in a much more ergonomic way. It gives me that opportunity to see everything from heads down. And you can see that Alex even joined me in here as well. One fun thing about these views is let's say I want to go back into grid view. I can select it and press Shift period. You can see there we go. I'm out and I'm in again. When I am in the grid view, I can hide things. So like, let's say I need a keyboard shortcut for later. Let's say I had some other text here. I was riffing on an idea. I'm going to say alternate heading. And this then becomes, if those of you are familiar with Harry Potter, the room of requirement, wherein if I go back to my original slide, that stuff, it's gone, it's out of my way, it's abstracted. But if I need to go back to it, I can press Shift period, and there it is, and I can bring it right back into my presentation. So grid view is going to give you that ability to tuck things away. Let's say you have like a note or something, or you're sharing something with somebody else, you can put it on that canvas, and then I can go right back into that individual view. So that grid view and slide view is going to be important. One cool thing you can do too is you can actually arrange entire rows of your presentation. So here, if I wanted to adjust this entire row of my presentation, I could just move that up and down. I can create additional rows by hitting this plus key, and I can create additional slides within a row by hitting the plus over here. So this is how our row is created in the first place. Right here, you'll see I can just create a brand new row. And let's say this row has like that colored background, and I can add more of them, right? And so then this row I can now move up and down. So that was a fantastic question. And you can see that all of these rows, I can just kind of drag things up and down, and I can control that overarching narrative of my presentation. So let's head back over. So where I was over on frame 12. So you can see it's very meta. It's like I'm presenting slides in slides. Let's make sure that we keep up. So grid view versus single slide view. Also, another great way to get started is to use existing templates within the Figma ecosystem. Whenever you create a brand new slide, we're going to come over here from the left. You can create a new blank slide, right? I could create a new blank slide, but let's say you don't have time for that and you really need to use something that's already there. When we click new slide, you can see that there's already these existing slides that we can use from this template, or I can go back and I can search from existing templates that have been made by Figma and have been made by community members. So here I can look for, let's say I'm about to be back into school and I need to create a syllabus quick. There is a university course syllabus template. I can view that template, and within the template, I can overview the existing slides for that template, and I can choose which ones I want to include. So let's say here, I want to include the academic policies page. There we go. And now here I can edit this as much as I wish. So, I could change that from academic policies to just hello world. There we go. So that is going to give you the ability to add those. And once again, I can add in a slide from another template at any point in time. So if I take a look here, I can look at the vibes collection. And here, let's pick the bold blobs. There we go. And there we go. We can add those in. So use templates to get started. And I see we have some questions. So why I don't have the action like icon. So if you don't have the action icon, that file isn't in an education pro team. So for this little icon, you might also not have UI3 enabled on your account. So you will see this actions icon show up. In the meantime, if you want to call up actions, you can still use the legacy shortcut Command P or Control P. Command P or Control P if you're on Windows. That will pull up the legacy quick actions panel. So some of you might not yet have this, and that's okay. You'll be getting it soon enough, and you want to make sure you're on an education pro team to access it. So could plugins be used in Figma Slides in the future? I do believe that is something that will be on the roadmap, but for now, the Slides product is currently in beta. So there's still certain things are in flux, but I can imagine a world where the Slides plugins will be commonplace. Let's see, does the element that you took out of the slide is somewhat floating out of the slide? Can you use it in other slides too? You can use it in other slides too. So Iris is asking, I took something out of here, right? I have this like little sticky. You can put it anywhere. You can put it onto another slide. So I can jump out. I can go back into this slide. Whenever I jump out, I can just move this over here. So you can put it anywhere you need it to be. So great question. Let's see, we have a few more. Let's hop back into single slide view. How can we create our own templates? Just by making a file, that file in effect becomes a template. I'm going to talk to you about the 3 aspects of making a template, and you'll see coming soon the ability to publish a template to your team isn't available yet for education, but it should be coming shortly. It has been announced and will be here. It's currently only available in organization plans. So if you are on an organization plan, you should have the opportunity to publish your own templates and use them internally. They will be coming soon for education pro teams. Follow my Twitter account and I'll let you know exactly when that's going to happen. All right, so can we create rows in single view or grid view only? You'll create the rows in grid view, but you can control the rows here in single view. So in single view, you can see that there's a little chevron or a caret that allows me to open up and collapse all of the slides within a given row. But when you're creating them, you want to create them in grid view. So hopefully that was helpful. So just for the question that you asked earlier, the anatomy of a slide template, when you're building out templates themselves, what you are going to be controlling is basically three things. A slide template can just be any deck that you have. So at the very least, in the same way that we can easily just copy paste Figma files into slides, once you just have a slides file, when you want to make that as a template, which is currently unavailable, but when it will be, it's basically looking at these sorts of things, and all it really is just a single file. And it's just pulling up slides from that file. So once again, if I take a look at this syllabus template, all of these are just individual slides within that slides file. So there's nothing too difficult to really consider there. But when you're working on a template, what you can do is create typography or text styles. You can create color styles, and you can create grid styles. So if you are looking to accomplish a degree of consistency within your slide decks, whenever you create those templates, you want to have other people use them and you want to have that degree of consistency. These are going to be the things that you are looking out for. So let me see. I believe I have, let's type in syllabus template. I believe I have this here. Do I have it here? Yeah. So I'll just take a quick walkthrough of this file. This is the syllabus template file. All it really is just individual slides, and it's using text styles. So these text styles are kind of predefined, and then it's using colors. So I have a slide down here. It's using colors that are part of the theme. And I'm going to show you how to create those text styles that you can reuse again and again, and how to use those colors that you can reuse again and again. And I'll even show you the fun remix feature that's going to allow you to remix those colors in a slide to give you options in producing a different output. So as I mentioned, type, color, and grids. I'm going to show you how to access them. So when you are working with typography in a template, if I was to select this text here, and in my default slides mode, right? Like the simpler mode, if I come over here, I can choose from a number of different text styles that have already been predefined. So you'll see header, right? I can make that a header. I have a subheader. I have a title, and I have this. You can see that this file is a bit of a Franken file. So if you want to see this here, when I create a new slide, let's just create a new blank slide, and I include some text, I can choose from this template's, header, from its subheader, and from its title. So these are all going to be predefined. Now, let me go back. Let me just hit undo. So now let's go back. I believe I have like this little subheader here. If I want to see additional details, I can click and I can make adjustments. So if I want to make this text much larger, I can choose a larger font. Let's choose like 128. Let's set that line height larger as well. Let's set that to 128. And here I have a custom type. Now, if I want to, I can click up here and I have two options. So within this text window, I can either replace an existing style that exists currently in this template. So I can either replace all of my headers, I can replace all of my subheaders, or I can choose to add a new style outright. I can say, okay, let's create our, Miggy demo header, right? Great name. I'm going to create that style. And by creating that style, you'll notice it is now part of this theme. If you need to make adjustments on any of the existing styles, so if I was to go back to this header slide that I have here, you can see that it's currently using the title style. If I click edit text style, I can change some of its properties. I could bring this down to 260, make it a little smaller. And once I make that change, any other slide that had that now accepted that change. So this will give you the opportunity to be consistent with your design elements, consistent with your typography. And if I want to, I can then choose that new style that I created, and you can see it then applied here. So let's hit undo. Let's go back here. And so here you can see with this text, this is subheader 2. This is a text style that is brought in from another template. So this here too, when you notice that it sits below, it's going to tell you the name of the template and the style that carries it. So here too, body serif. And now once again, if you want to redefine any style that you currently have, you can always make adjustments to it. So if I made this more custom, right, I go 28, now it's custom. Now that it's custom, I can come up and I can either replace an existing style or I can add a new style. All right. So one trick that I like to do, this is a best practice. Whenever I'm making a deck or a template, I like to create a slide that contains all of my text styles. So here you can see this is from another template. This is my basic process design deck. And you'll notice down here, if I add that style, that page, you'll see that I have all of the styles that are available for that deck. So then this way I can organize them. And you'll notice that when I'm in this deck right here, I can see them all. And it makes it much easier for me to communicate my design intent. Next up, I'm going to talk about template colors. So when you are building out a deck, I mentioned that colors are kind of special. You'll notice that this deck, as I mentioned, this deck right here, because it's a meta deck. I'm presenting slides, demoing slides, showing slides. It's going to be a little messy, but that's okay. Here you can see all of the different template themes that I'm currently using as part of this deck. Let's show you how that works in another deck. So let's say I'm working here, right? And you can see that there's a lot of consistency in this deck that I have here. I can bring in a new slide from a different template, casual vibes. So I'm just going to bring in casual vibes. So now this deck has two different templates in here. And let's say I want this slide to match what I already am doing. I can come over here and turn on university course syllabus, and it converts the slide that had that other theme back into this theme. So once again, I'll show you. So let's say you're working on a deck, and this deck I have is very customized. I'm going to create a new slide from another template, right? I have another template entirely. So this template has different text styles, it has different colors, and it has an overall different vibe. when I click here, you can see that there's these different options. So I can either match this particular slide to the other ones. So I can say, hey, let's match that university course template vibe. There you go. It's just converted it. It's converted the colors, it's converted the text, and it all matches up. Now let's try the reverse. Because we added this template theme, let's take a look over here at this chapter slide. I can also choose the casual vibes template. And you can see that I've now converted the university syllabus template with the other theme. So if I wanted to change any one of these slides to match a theme, I can just click on the slide, come over to the template style, and change that outright. And it's going to give me that new look. So this is where that theming is going to come in handy, because it's going to give you that opportunity to change things up. And you'll notice here, this background. This background is a color that allows black to show up in front of it. However, let's say I change that background with a dark blue, you'll notice that the text is going to automatically change to accommodate it. So long as your text is either black or white, it will adjust to match the background. So I'll show you that one more time. Let's hit undo. Right here I am. This text is set to absolute black. This background has one of my template theme colors. We're going to change that to, let's say, be this dark color. It's going to then reverse out the text for me so that I can see it. It's not going to work in every instance. You may have text in a slide that is off white or off black. We're working to make it more broadly understandable of all different color contrasts. But if you're working with black or white text, this can be a really simple lift. It's going to save you time, and it's going to make it easier for you to kind of make those adjustments. One other fun thing that you can do, I'm going to add in another slide here. These are all vector graphics, vector shapes that were made in Figma. They have had template colors applied to them. And because they have template colors applied to them, we have this fun shift that allows you to cycle through those colors. So I can see different layouts as they are applied. So even if I were to select this shape right here, I can give it a different template color, but then I can also just do a little remix and I can see different workarounds for how my layout can look. So one of those little fun additions, I know that there's going to be continuous improvements on these, so be on the lookout for that. You can play around with either of these templates currently in slides. When you go to new slide, look for either casual vibes or look for course syllabus. I authored them both, and I really enjoyed making them. So template colors, let's talk a little bit about them. You'll notice that when I click here and I pull up this color fill, I'm currently in the default slides mode, and you'll see that there is an arrangement of template colors for this slide. And then there's just other colors in the deck. The template colors are special. They're select colors that you want to use for your slide, and you can manage them from this interface. So here I can click on color 16. If I want to delete it, I can right click and I can either edit or delete it. So I can remove it. If I want to add a new color, I can add a color. Once again, if I'm using color libraries, let's say if I have a Figma file and I made a variable collection, I can actually upgrade colors from that variable collection and include them here. So here I can choose either colors from my existing templates, right? So you can see them all here. And you'll also notice Figma brand colors. So this is from a library that's already been published on my team. We could talk about this in a later workshop, but basically when you publish a library file and it has colors associated with it, you can then make it part of your template colors. So here I can go to libraries and I can even search. So I could say Figma or let's say brand, and I can pull up from these. Let's see, what was that? I don't think it has the proper key name on it. Oh, styles red. Yeah, I could just say red. There we go. Figma brand red, warm red, or I could say orange. There's an orange. So I can add those in from those libraries. And at any point, you can also just use the eye color picker to pick a color from your file proper. Okay. And once again, when you have colors that are from the template, you can use that remix, and that remix will readjust. It'll look for other background colors that you have in your template, and it'll also cycle through those background colors as well. All right. So one thing I'm going to talk about quickly, template grids. You can create grids in Figma Slides. You can also bring in grids from external libraries. I'm going to show you just how to make a simple grid that you can work with in Slides. And I'm going to show you the degree of control you can have. So grids are accessed by going into design mode. I'm going to go into design mode, and you can see I already have a grid style applied. When I turn this on, you'll see the underlying grid. Now, this grid can be used to adjust your type to. So there we go. I can adjust my type to this. There we go. And I can also use it to create shapes and align to them. So if I wanted to draw a rectangle or get a section, I can easily create that. I can hold down the Option key to duplicate it, move it over there. And I'm going to show you how to create this. So let's remove that entirely. And once again, the grid is going to be used for consistency across your slides. I'm going to come over here to the right. I'm going to add a layout grid, and you can add multiple layers. The default is just going to be this grid here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click to the left. Notice over here, this is how you control it. Let's set up our columns. I'm going to set up a 12 column grid. I am going to have it be stretch. I'm going to set a margin, that's the spacing on the outside, to 48, and I'm going to set my gutters to 24. So these are the margins right here. If I increase that number, you see how it tightens it up. So we're thinking about where we might want to place things. That's pretty good. If I want to adjust my color, I can make this a little less offensive than maybe that red. So we have our columns. Now I can create a row set. So I can hit plus, and I can come over here. I can choose rows here. Let's say I just choose 6 rows. I'm going to match my margins of 48, and I'm going to set my gutter to 24. There we go. And we can adjust those colors there. So you can see now I have a very simple grid. If I want to make like little midpoints between here, I can select over here to the left. See, when I select that, it shows the whole thing. And then I can copy and paste it. And you'll see that we have our rows here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to identify midlines between my grid. I'm going to do that by changing the type to center. And I'm going to remove the gutter. You'll see that they're now individual lines. Let's darken that up just a little bit so we can see that for those of you in the back. And what we're going to do is we're going to increase this height. And I'm going to hold shift and press up until it's about the midpoint. So about 168. It's the midpoint of all of those. And let's just decrease the opacity of it right there. So now we have the midpoint of all those. So that's if you want to have a compound grid with flush lines. I'm going to get to how you can use this in a really cool way. Let's also do that with the columns. I'm going to copy paste my columns. I'm going to click right here. And here with the columns, once again, we're going to pull from the center. We're going to have no gutter, and we're going to increase that width. Let's make that a little bit darker so you can see that. We're going to increase the width, and let's adjust it till it's right at those midpoints, about 154. And then I'll set that back a little bit. So now we have a nice grid that we can use when we're making our templates. And let's say this text here, I want to have my text. So let's say line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. Let's say I actually want this text when I type it out for every line to match with our grid line. Here's my trick for that. All you have to do is draw a rectangle, match the center point to that center point. What is that height? That height is currently 168, right? It's the same that we entered in when creating it. Now, if I set my line height value, right? So right here, if I set that to 168 and I move my baseline and adjust it, you'll notice that every line matches in the grid. So even as I type, let's say I want to make sure my text grows from the top. Hello, world, how are you? And you'll see that every line matches up. And this works with multiples as well. So let's say if I want my text within my grid to align, so I want 2 lines of text per every block. What I can do is just divide that by 2. So I'll say 168 divided by 2, and then that's 84. So now let's bring our font size down. Let's bring our font size down to 84, and let's align that first baseline. Look at that. Hello, world. How are you? So you'll see, hello, right? As we add in text, we now have 2 lines of text per row. So this is a fun way to get that text to work. You might notice that our font size is still a bit big. So maybe we bring that down to 80 or 72. And as long as that line height matches, you'll see that now for every row, we have exactly 2 lines of text and that matches up. And you could do that with further multiples. You could divide it by 4 and all the way down, and then you set that value as your line height and it'll work. So it's a fun trick hack that I like to work with my typography and my grids. So another fun thing that you can do with your grids, and let's say if you're making a template for yourself, you can make image placeholders. So here, to use an image placeholder, right, you basically get this shape that has this grid that allows you, when you're in slides mode, to just add an image to it. So I can choose media. Let me go to my documents. I have an assets folder in here, and I have pictures of coffee. So I can add in a photo of coffee and it will place there, and I can resize this as necessary, and it'll sit in my grid. So one fun activity, let's say you want to create a slides activity, you want to use that grid. Oh, one thing I forgot, we made this grid over here, right? Shift G will turn on the grid. So we made this grid. Let's say we want to use it again and again. All I need to do is these 4 dots over here, I can create a style, and I'm going to call this my MIG demo grid, right? And I could choose which template it goes to. So for now, let's just say it's part of the university syllabus template. There you go. I've created it. And now when I go to another page, I can add it. So I can go to layout grid, click on the 4 dots, pull up the MIG demo grid. There it is. So I can pull up this grid on whatever slide I want. I can press the R key. Let's make a few shapes. Let's say I have that one. I'm going to copy and paste it. Let's just get 2 of those, copy and paste them. Right? Copy and paste. And copy and paste. And so now I can hide the grid, Shift G. And let's say I want to round out the corners. Let's select all of those shapes, come over here to appearance. Let's round those corners. Now, if I want to place image, Command Shift K. If you're on Windows, Control Shift K. And that's going to pull up my little window here. And what that's going to do is it's going to charge up my cursor with all of those photos, giving me the opportunity to place them. Now, I'm going to hit Escape. Let's say in this template, you want to make them feel like image placeholders. If you come over here to the fill, and here you go to custom, and there's a little option here for image. it's going to make those as image placeholders. And once again, to fill those image placeholders, Command Shift K, place image, or you can use this quick actions bar and type in place image. So if you're going to be placing videos, same thing. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, pick 4 images, and I can just add them in 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you need to make any adjustments and you're familiar with Figma, just Option double click and Option double click. If you're on Windows, Alt double click, and you can resize it and you can recrop it. So I can select any image, Option double click on it. It's going to pull up the crop mode, and I can resize and recrop that image. I'll do you one more time. Option double click. I'm going to scale it, move it, and right here, Option double click. Let's move it. Let's scale it and reframe it. There we go. How easy was that? All right. So I'm going to head right into questions. Is there a slide quantity limit need 144? Also, is there a limit to photos upload? I don't think you will be encountering any limits. There might be like a hidden limit. I yet haven't hit it. I've definitely used over 144 slides, so feel free to go nuts. The photo limit, there shouldn't be. If you include images that are too large, they may be shrunk down into Figma just for performance reasons. So just be mindful of that. Make sure you preview a deck before going through it. Do templates for orgs work similar to components? Templates for orgs just work like templates. So in the same way that I'm able to find existing Figma templates, you'll be able to find your org templates. Now, if you're thinking about components, when you're in slides mode, there's this plus option right here called the assets panel. This is what will work like components. So that was a great question. If you want to include things such as like little like icons, or if you have a library for something, these components can be brought in. So I can add in icons and such. So if you have an icon library or some other component library that you want to integrate with your slides, you can publish that and have that available via this menu right here. And anything that you want to add, when you go to add your own, it's going to look through your existing libraries that you may have on your pro team, and you can add them from there. So fantastic question. Is there a way to set guides for consistent page grid and margins? I have already demonstrated like the grid itself. I would recommend grids over guides. I would say that the guides feature currently in Figma isn't fully fleshed out. So I would default to using page grids for the moment. All right, so you may go over this, but can you explain how comments work? Comments work just like in Figma. If I press C, I can leave a comment. Here is a comment, and I press OK, and there it is, and it can be responded to, and it can be checked off. If I press Shift C, I will hide the comments. Pressing C again will bring them all up. You can click and drag and leave a comment area. So this is a comment area. It's going to work just the same. So is it possible to import custom vector graphics? You can copy and paste in SVG graphics. If you are using like SVG, like export from like Adobe Illustrator, or you have SVG clipboard handling in Adobe Illustrator, you can copy paste directly from that. Not all vector graphics may translate as well, so you're better off using more simpler pared down, and it might not work with vector type from another application, but if you outline that type, it should work. All right, I got another question here. I'm assuming anyone can access these slides and comments without a Figma account. So it depends. When you go over here and choose share, you can change the permissions of how those slides are accessed. So here you can choose who you want to have access to your slides. In the presentation view, you can set that anyone can view, and those without Figma accounts should be able to view those. All right, so I have a few slide making tips that I'm going to cover. Let me just adjust these backgrounds. I want them to be darker. Here we go. So I have a few slide making tips. Pay attention to text properties. When you have a text field, so I'm going to draw a text field. I'm going to write in some text. Actually, I'm going to use AI. Let's see. Rewrite this. I'm going to say, write a paragraph about paragraphs. We're all about the meta content today. I'm just using this to write a paragraph. There we go. So I got a paragraph. Okay. So let's say I have text right here. You need to think about whether or not the text is in design mode, right? There's different options. There's auto width, which basically puts it on a very long line, right? There is going to be auto height. Auto height is going to grow the text box as your text grows. So if I hit in returns, you'll notice that text box is going to grow all the way down. If it is set to fixed, that means that this text box can be independent of that. So just be mindful. More often than not, you're going to want to use auto height. One interesting thing about auto width text is that in slides, if it encounters the edge, it will automatically convert to auto height. So more often than not, you want to use auto height with your text, but just be mindful that if you're making a template and you have a headline and you set it with auto width, that maybe you might want to consider defining that width and choose auto height. That's going to be that middle option. So just a thing to pay attention to there. Also think about how your text grows. So imagine if this is part of my template and I have this option here, this means that the text grows from the bottom and it grows upwards, right? And that might not be great for my template. So if I have text in the left top, maybe I might instead want that text to align to top. And that means that as I type, it grows from the top. So if I have a text field, that might be down here, over here to the bottom left. Just make that text smaller, right? So I have this text field over here in the bottom right. Let's just set the line height to be 100%. There we go. And I want it to grow from the bottom. I can choose line to bottom. And that means that as I add text, it's going to grow from the bottom. So just things to think about. Think about whether your text is aligning from the top, it's aligning from the bottom, or aligning from the center. So let's say this is aligned to the center, that I choose center alignment. So then as I add text, it grows from the center. Cool. Remember to apply template colors. These are vector shapes. So if I am creating vector shapes, let's say with the pen tool, I'm going here, let's create a heart. So there we go, I'm making a little heart. Let's put in some round endpoints. There's one round endpoint. There is another round endpoint. And I ascribe it, a template color. That template color, when in slides mode, will now instead be able to, oops, let me give it a better color than that. There you go. When applied with a template color, will then be part of that swap. So make sure you use template colors. Another thing, auto layout is your friend. If you're unfamiliar with auto layout, when you select objects that someone else has made, if it has auto layout applied, you'll see it here. If you want to break it. So like, let's say I'm just trying to grab, I just want that green rectangle. I can go here and I could break that auto layout, and then I just have regular objects. But let's say that I have content, right? So if this is broken, and if I have this text and I add more text, you can see that as I add text, it collides with other things. I can use auto layout. So I can select all of them. And here I can just press Shift A. When I press Shift A, it's going to turn on auto layout. I'm going to be able to control the spacing between these. And when I make text adjustments, oops, let's make sure that it's applied correctly. So as I apply auto layout, this should be from the top. Oh, I think I removed it. All right, so as this has auto layout, that's not working. Oh, you know why? I know why. I'm not in design mode. In design mode, I can press Shift A, turn on auto layout, and here I can type text and it will grow and it will grow and it will grow. And I can add in new header and it will grow and it will grow. Now, if I want the auto layout field to grow from the center, from the top, I just need to be mindful of constraints. So these are going to be the power controls that those of you that are already familiar with Figma are going to take the most advantage of. So here I can set right and top constraints. And what that means is that as I type in, right, the text is going to grow from the top. If I select my auto layout object, and I click on constraints. And constraints basically just tell the object how to behave and how to resize. So instead of right and top, I choose right and center, right? So now as I edit this text, you'll see it grows from the center. Basically, these two slides are here to make you think about when you add content to your slides, how can they be more responsive? How can they grow and contract? So here, a simple exercise could just be, grab a shape, grab some text, hello world. I love saying hello to the world. And, having that as auto height, maybe put another shape underneath it, select them all. You'll notice the option for auto layout is over here on the right, use auto layout, and I can grow. So you might think, would you really need your slides to be responsive? You have to think about what responsive means in this context. So if you are making a template for someone else, which you will soon have the ability to, you need to think about how that text may grow. If you have an image that sits underneath text and you want that text to grow, so like even right here, I want to expand this by expanding this image height. It's pushing down the other text. So it's not that it's responsive to the frame of the slide, but that the content is responsive to the content. All right, so additional features, voting. We can vote. So here, let's go down over to voting. I want to see what y'all think. So here, I can share this link with you all once again as we kind of near the end. We're going to go probably about 5 minutes over. Hopefully that's okay. So with voting, you can just add elements when you're in the slides mode with this little live interaction. And right now we have a poll, we have stamps, and we have alignment charts. So here I'm going to say, use it for class activities, use it for class presentations, use it for process decks. I'm going to say, use it for portfolios, right? You can have portfolios. Let's say, here, I'm going to reset this. So let's reset this widget and let's say, use it for other. There we go. So you can stamp those and I can see in real time as you're stamping and like leaving that feedback. Video, if you have used Figma before and you are using this on an education team, you can drop video right in there. So what I'm going to do, Command Shift K, the same way that you would add an image, you can add video as long as it's under 100 megabytes. So here, let me find a video to add. And here I've added a video and it'll identify itself as video. And you will see that here, when I click on it, it will play. So you'll notice that it can also be controlled with a click, or it can be controlled with like an advance on the slide. Right. Interactive components, I haven't had the opportunity to cover this, but in Figma, you can make interactions. I'm going to make a very simple interaction. So feel free to check out a webinar on prototyping or interactive components. I'm going to make this very, very simple interaction here. So I'm going to draw 2 frames. I'm going to draw a circle. And I'm going to make this circle a little bit bigger and I'm going to make it red. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a prototype. So then that way, when I click on this circle, it navigates to that other frame. Let's put a smart animate in there and let's have it ease nicely, right? And when we click back It's going to go back. So I can select these two. I can create what is known as an interactive component. So I can come over here, create component set, and let's remove that background. And so basically in Figma, I can create an interaction. And in Figma, I can create this interaction. So I just have this button where I'm clicking. And what's cool is I can copy and paste that into my presentation. And this way when I'm presenting it, I could have those interactions show right up on that slide. So feel free to look up the concept of interactive components. And what's cool about interactive components is that they can be copy and pasted right into your Figma slide. And even if you want to change the starting state, you can come over here in the top right and adjust that. So you can have a lot more fun with interactivity with interactive components. And then a few AI features, tone adjustment. I can select my text. I can come over here and there's this magic little option that called adjust tone. And so if I want to make my text more concise, I just drag it there. It's going to adjust the tone. As the new school year approaches, many students are prepared to return. I can make it more professional, and basically it'll take that text. And with the upcoming school year, many students are preparing to return to school. I can make it more technical, which is professional and expanded. And as we approach the commencement of upcoming academic year, numerous students are preparing themselves to return to their educational institutions. So I could always go back. But if you're looking to adjust tone on your text, you can easily do that. Image prompting. So let's just say you need a last minute image. You don't have time to look up a stock image. You need to explain something. Go to that actions panel. This will require that you do have access to UI 3. It's an update to Figma's UI. So it's going to be rolling out to everybody through October. But here I can type in make an image and I could say, make an image of a raccoon on a lawnmower because sometimes you need a photo of a raccoon on a lawnmower in your presentation. So it's going to do that. It's going to generate this out and create an image. My recommendation for this, I think this is amazing. So here we have a few, is basically making this at 512 by 512. Other little tricks that you can do is if you need like a pattern, you can have it generate a pattern and tile it. So if you're looking for like a last minute image for your presentation, you can use that option. Presenter notes, as we mentioned, we have presenter notes. So when you come up here, I can't demonstrate it right now, but when you go to present, you can present plus notes. It'll create a pop-out window that will have your notes as you type them here. That presentation mode will also give you the ability to control the sizing of your presenter note text. So keep an eye out for that. Try it out. Let me know if you have any questions. Be sure to follow us on YouTube for additional workshops. You can find our videos on youtube.com/Figma. I mentioned before, check out our video on interactive components if you would like to include interactivity in your slides. Also, check out our community templates at figma.com/@education. And I want to thank you all for joining with me today. And thanks for hanging out a little bit later. And I don't believe, Alex, do we have any additional questions?
No, I think you covered most of it. I'm about to put two links in the chat. The first is going to be for any session feedback. We'd love to hear what you thought of this workshop and hear your ideas for upcoming workshops in the future. The other link that I'm going to send is an RSVP link to our next workshop, which is going to be auto layout in Figma. So if you're interested in learning more about auto layout from our wonderful Miggy, please sign up for that. That's going to be in September, and we can't wait to host you again. So again, please give us some feedback. We can't wait to know how we're doing, and hopefully we'll see you next month.